Good evening. This is Liz Busquets. We're here for the May teleconference board meeting. Present are all directors: Cindy, Denise, Judy, Jean, Ken, Linda, Rachel, Rick, and myself, Liz. The way this goes is that for every topic, we'll go around and ask for all each director's opinions or comments. And then if anything is going for a vote, then we'll do that. So let's get started. The first topic for tonight is last month's email business.
It's Cindy. I'll make a motion to approve April's email business.
Denise, I would second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Cindy, seconded by Denise, to approve last month's email business. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, the next topic is the system license report. Rachel?
Yes, ma'am. I hope you guys have had an opportunity to look at the latest report from our vendor Inventive. They sent a report on 5/7 that Cal sent on to you guys, and it basically defines what they did last week, what they're working on this week, and the issues. And I'm speaking with Ray. He said that they're doing excellent work and that they are not really ahead of schedule, but not really late either, because they're still doing bug fixes. So they're about where he thought they would be at this point. And they're actually onboarding a new engineer onto the project. And so Ray's looking forward to that. He hasn't interfaced with that gentleman yet, but hopes to be able to do so here in the next few days. And as they complete the bug fixes, they're going to start working on agility issues. That's going to be their first goal, is to work on the agility, mainly in terms of being able to enter show results. So that's where we are right now with the system. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Other?
Wow, did anybody eat
I appreciate you keeping us updated, Rachel, and I appreciate the progress that we're making. So, yay.
I know. I'm really excited about this, guys. This is the first time I've been excited in about 3 years, and I feel like we're actually going to move forward. We're actually that we have a vendor now who understands our dilemma, who is willing to work with us to get past that and actually make some progress for ASCA. I can see that possibly by the end of 2019 that we may have almost completed the remaining SOW that has not been done, because right now they're also working to solidify the ADMS system to ensure that it won't crash and burn, because we need all of that information. So I'm really excited about this, guys. But that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Thank you, Rachel.
Good job, Rachel.
All right, so the next item is the 2019 finals budget. And I believe Rick will be presenting. Rick?
Yes, I sent the revised budget to Calla just this afternoon. I never received it, or if I did, I didn't see it. So I apologize for being so late. But there was some changes to the budget as far as cattle, and I believe that was the only changes to this point. I was going to let Denise speak to that so she could kind of clarify to you guys what those changes entail. Denise?
Okay, well, I was totally excited when the guy with the cattle called me back and said, "Oh no, it's not $50 per day. It's just $50 a head for as long as you have them, and that includes the travel." So that reduced way down on the price of the cattle to about $8,000. Sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. One of the things that I wanted to bring up on the finals for stock is that the prices that we have quoted on there are the current prices. And most of you probably know that when you buy hay in the wintertime, it's a lot higher than it is in the summertime. And so I would expect that the prices that we have for feed costs are higher than they should be. We have for sure the cost of the judges' lodging and their price per day. But travel expenses are just on a basic average at this point because we don't know what all the airfares will be, that sort of thing. So I would presume that the expenses of the stock dog finals will come in actually quite a bit less than this finals budget is showing. The other finals are pretty much set in stone because there's a budget from the office that how much the awards will cost, and that part of the budget for the stock is the same thing. That will be followed, and the ribbon expense, of course, is coming from the office, and so I think that we're pretty happy with the cost of things for finals, and I think that we'll be able to reduce it even more in the end result. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Hey, Denise, this is Rachel. I do have a question. So how many head of cattle are y'all bringing in?
We're bringing in 160 head.
Okay.
And
are you going to keep those? Are you going to keep those all week? Then you're bringing them in to keep them all week?
Yes, we're going to keep the same head of cattle. We're going to keep them all week. I've talked to several different people that have trialed and put on trials for a long time as to the best way to handle that. The only difference in that is that it'll be cheaper because we only have one group of cattle.
How many days? Right. So we know that we're using them 3 days for nationals, and then are you going to have a pre-trial that you're going to use them in?
Yeah. So the question.
Right, so that 8,000 is actually the total for cattle. It's not actually what finals is going to use them for, correct?
That is correct. So it'll be even less than that. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're looking at less than $3,000 actually. It should be for finals.
It's 2 days for finals.
How many days are you going to use them in total? 6 days?
6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually 7, because we're going to use some of it. Well, we won't use nearly as many, but we'll use some for the shootout. And so we have.
All right. So that's $1,143 each day then, times 2 equals. So your final should actually be $22.86.
Okay.
Because you've used the cattle only 2 days.
Right.
That helps you out a little bit on the budget.
The pre-trials. Well, this is one other thing, and I didn't know if it really made much difference because the cattle are going to be on the grounds no matter what. But our question is, are we better off to use half the cattle and run them 4 times, or should we use the whole group and run them 2 times per day for pre-trials and nationals? So those are things that we're debating and discussing and whatever. But that's the price of the cattle to get to the facility until they leave. And so I think
right. But because this is finals, you break it out for only 2 days. And because ASCA is responsible for finals, so your budget was reduced there from 3411. I've got a calculator that's not working. Down to 31,825
Right.
for livestock. Okay, so that helps you out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
good, Denise. We're only talking about the 2 days of stock finals, and so that is the only thing we're approving, because what's going to happen is we're going to give you 90% of whatever your approved budget is as startup fee funds for the finals. So you're only supposed to put in what it's going to cost to actually have cattle for 2 days to conduct the finals, not the entire
Right,
of the
right,
national
right.
test week. So that's probably,
Right.
we probably need to address that.
So let me go back and go over that tonight, and I'll resubmit this for tomorrow. I'll resubmit the budget for tomorrow, figured out on just 2 days for all the stock, because I'm not sure if we did that for all 3 of them or not.
Okay, question.
Yeah, because, oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, I was just going to say, no, you don't have them for 2 days. You would have to bring them in the day before, and it's highly doubtful they would go out on Sunday night. So if you're portioning them for...
He's going to bring them Thursday or Friday, and then the usage is what it's split. He's not charging us more because they're there for 2 days there and maybe a day at the end. He's going to pick them up Friday afternoon at the end of the. So we're just going to split the total cost of the cattle, the amount of hay it takes for 2 days, and all that detail out. So I'll rework that and be a little bit more detailed for 2 days only.
Yeah, because say if you don't, you're going to add to your budget, and that's really not going to be correct for finals.
Right. I don't know why we didn't do that. Okay, yeah. No, that's good.
Okay, so
Thank
you're
you,
going to
Dan.
work on it and resubmit, yep?
I'll resubmit this by tomorrow.
Excellent.
I'll send it to Cal.
Yeah. Any other questions for Denise? Okay, so let's go then to the next item, which is the 2023 national site. I actually put that in there just because I've been asked about it and I haven't heard anything. So I think we need to either, put this in ink with the facility or decide to go to Bakersfield or whatever, but we need to really discuss this and get this done. So I guess I'm gonna go around and see how everybody feel or whatever. First of all, is there anybody who has been in charge of actually talking to the site, and has anything been done about it?
Yes, this is Ken.
Yes, sir.
Would you like me to bring everyone up to date where we are?
Well, yeah, because we don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's rather unfortunate, because however long ago it actually was, when we were first trying to establish 5 different sites, people were requesting that there be a site in the Pacific Northwest. People identified this particular site, the Deschutes Fairgrounds. I volunteered and I took 2 days of my time to go up there, and for 2 days I discussed arrangements and facilities and their support for our national specialty. I found that it was an excellent site. We identified all the buildings and where we would do things and how we would do things. The only thing we did not do was sign a contract, and I don't have that ability. I came back to the board immediately and reported. There was a motion made, and the motion was approved that we were going to have the 2023 Nationals at the Deschutes Fairgrounds. But to this date, No one has ever contacted the fairgrounds to sign a contract. To this date, no affiliate club has ever stepped forward to say that they could be a resource for locating livestock providers and other resources for our national specialty. In other words, not a single affiliate club has volunteered to support this site. And therefore, that's why I was very much in support of our new national specialty schedule. I do not know what we're going to do. We have an approved motion saying we're going to go there in 2023, but they're still holding the dates for us with the schedule, knowing exactly what they needed to provide for us and what we needed to provide for them, and nobody ever followed up. And I've asked multiple times. We've been through multiple presidents, we've been through multiple people, and nobody's ever done anything. So I'm going to hazard a guess here and say there is not much support to use this facility. So I think perhaps we better make another motion to cancel the use of this facility, notify the Deschutes Fairground, and then come up with another plan.
Can I say something here, Ken?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could just go around.
I'm going to go around.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I believe I
Yeah.
spoke to Deschutes after Ken.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I didn't know exactly who has spoken to it besides Ken. I know that Ken had done the initial, findings, but I don't know what had happened since. So let me go around, okay? Cindy?
Nothing at this time.
Denise, you have anything else for now?
Yeah, I tried to call the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. I didn't say I tried to call them. I did call them. I have called them at least 4 times to try to talk to the gal who's in charge of the events coordinator. Her name is Roxia. She has never returned my call. I called her person or cell, left a message, never returned the call. So this afternoon I called and she was in a board meeting and I told her each time, what I'm interested in finding out is how much the facility costs. Because Ken did that report on it, and there was no mention of the expense of the facility. Since that time, my daughter Leslie was up there on a business trip, and she went to the facility, and she said it is a gorgeous facility, but the rep that she was with said it is, but it's so expensive that community people can't use it. So finally today, I left a message with the office person up there that we were having this board meeting tonight, and that the topic of this was on the agenda, and that I really needed to know some kind of an idea of what their facility would cost. And she did call me when we were already in the meeting. And it was a landline. I tried to text her back and say, I'm in a meeting, but it was a landline. So I haven't heard any, as Ken says, no clubs have come forward, no people have come forward. And so I called Bakersfield and said, what is the schedule for 2023? Do you have a time that we could host this here? And he said, yes, it's wide open. We would love to have you. And I know that we know the expense of the Bakersfield facility and the functionality of it, and all the details there incurred. We know the potential for the numbers of people that will come to California Bakersfield versus the Redmond facility, based on. And I'm basing this on the attendance in Oregon in the past, but this facility is more remote and less accessible to the greater numbers than the Albany was. So there are a lot of disadvantages to using it. The biggest advantage to using it is that it is gorgeous. That there's no question about that. It's a beautiful facility. It's very conducive to our use, but at the same time, the numbers of participants that it would service are probably half what would come to Bakersfield, and the expense that we would incur for the use of the facility is, I'm guessing, close to twice as much. So I would like to move that we change our motion, or we have a new motion that we do move the 2023 to Bakersfield.
Okay, thanks, Denise. I'm gonna go to Jean.
Yeah, back in 2018, I volunteered to reach out to Deschutes to get more information because we had a report from Ken as far as the dates that were available, and some board members found, I don't remember exactly why, but whatever, we weren't fans of the dates that they gave us. So on the 12th of October.
Jean?
Yeah.
This is Calla.
Yeah.
The reason that we weren't a fan of the dates was because Ray said that it would be impossible for the office to get everything ready for a nationals that was going to be held the first week in September.
That's right. Ribbon orders versus finals entries, closing dates, or finals list dates, and then ribbon orders, and then having it in September. Got it. Yes. So our original dates that we had blocked with her were September 8th through September 18th of 2023. And I have a note here that says she will, in fact, this is an email that I sent to the board that, no offense, everybody, that I got zero response to. So on October 12th, I sent it, and it said she will hold these dates until we ask her not to. She also, at that time, had the dates of October 13th to the 2021st open, or even until 2023. She also put me in contact with a person who they have a yearly AKC specialty up there. And she put me in contact with that gentleman, and I did just briefly speak to him, but not much because I didn't get any feedback. They also, as Ken will attest to, and I'm sure Leslie will also, literally the airport is right next door. In fact, the fence is shared, and this airport is not as small as Bryan. And that means that, for instance, you cannot fly a dog into College Station, Bryan. You have to either fly into Houston, San Antonio, Austin, or something to that effect. You can actually fly dogs into Redmond, and there's 4 airlines that fly into there. As far as entry numbers are concerned, we had the highest entry in Tennessee. That was reported at the Nationals last year, and I still have those numbers, but the highest entry we had in the last however many years it's been was in Tennessee, significantly. The reason I'm a strong advocate for a location in the Pacific Northwest is there are a lot of people in that area that have trouble coming down to these southern locations. Georgia is at the extreme. I mean, the only way we could get further south would be to go to Florida. Texas, Bryan, it's a marvelous facility. I love it, but it's really far south too. And at the time of the year that we have it, it makes it very problematic for anybody who has to deal with snow and mountains. Bakersfield was my first Nationals in 1992. I love it. It's great. But again, we're looking at extremes. If we want to reevaluate and redo what we have looked at as far as locations, I would get rid of Bakersfield and Georgia and only have things in the middle. But I do believe that Deschutes is viable. I would hate to throw it under the bus. I think the only reason people have not applied for it is because we have not solidified a contract. We have not moved forward with it. We have not made it something that we want to do. And on the other hand, I also want to mention that I spoke to a lot of different people I know in the area. I try not to talk to people that perhaps would be an echo chamber for what I wanted to hear. But I just wanted to say, have you heard anything about this? How do you feel about this? And although, you know, none of them were like, oh yeah, I belong to an affiliate and I'm going to help put it on. Everybody I spoke to up there in that area, be it Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, all those different areas, said, oh yeah, we would so love to have something in this area. That being the case, we of course have to look at the logistics of it. I've not spoken to Roxia since October, so we're looking at 6 months. I'd be happy to call her again. I never talked cost with her because that was not what I was tasked with. I was tasked with looking at the dates, and that's what I did. And I'm gonna say that maybe anyhow, that's not what I was tasked with. I'd be happy to call her again. But I do believe that we do need to make a decision on whether we're going to go forward with 2023 or not in that area, in that facility. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jean. Judy?
Being an East Coast person, and I'm not even on the coast, if we have 5 nationals that are west of the Mississippi, and for those of us east of the Mississippi, you say we have Georgia, but that's 1,000 miles from me, and I'm just in Ohio. I'm sure, Cindy, it's 1,300 miles to Georgia. I would rather see an East Coast site added than a West Coast. That's all.
Okay. Ken, you got something else?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead,
I think,
please.
Pardon me? Hello?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, all right. I appreciate Denise supporting her local spot, and she gave a very good sales pitch for using Central Valley's preferred location for a national specialty. But I do have to push back on the inaccurate information. I did submit a written report. I submitted a lot of documentation on the site. I submitted the prices that we agreed to. I identified the buildings, the lawns, the RV area. Everything was identified with a cost. And that cost was no different than pretty much the average of what we're doing right now. So, all hype aside, whatever anybody wants to do is just fine. Now, I wish that the affiliate clubs would stand up and ask to be counted and show support, because as far as I'm concerned, we're going to back away from this site because we have not had anything from the affiliate saying that they would support it. And I agree with Jean. I know they want it. I just don't know why we cannot communicate. I have asked. I have tried to reach out, but there's been no response. So this site, no matter what the detractors say, the detractions do not bear out based on the actual figures that we're dealing with. I did submit figures. I could go back and I could talk to these people again. But I mean, you've got to look at it from their perspective. It was over 1.5 years ago that I talked to them. They probably don't take us very seriously at this point in time. Everything I told them is probably some kind of, they think it's some kind of weird dream. But I tried to adequately express to them the size and the scope, because we just came off the Albany thing where the Albany Fairgrounds didn't understand what it is we needed and what we needed their support in. So, you know, we made a motion, we just never followed up. I don't know if it's because people didn't want that to happen or what the motivation was, but it was pretty much all laid out, and somebody just needed to go in there and finish and sign on the dotted line. But that was over a year and a half ago. So, you know, I don't know what to say. I'm very frustrated with this whole thing. I have been attacked and I have been marginalized, and I've done the best I could. And I'm willing to go back again to talk to Roz again and just say, well, this is what we talked about. Here's our note. But there's no will to get it done. And I'm not going to fight with anybody. I'm not going to force anybody to have it up there. But I think there's a legitimate need to have a Pacific Northwest spot. And if Judy has a spot in the East, please, Judy, present it. Help us. I did what I could do. But now I'm kind of offended that people are treating this. I don't even know how to describe it. It's bizarre to me. So we do have a spot in the Pacific Northwest. We made a motion that we were going to go there in 2023. All we needed to do was just finalize the details and sign a contract. I don't know what they think about us right now. I can imagine we don't command much respect with them. But, you know, whatever you guys think is best is good for me.
Okay, Linda, you got anything?
Well, I agree with Judy. We need something in the Northeast, and as far as I'm concerned, we need something in the Northwest. That's it.
Rachel?
Sorry, I was on mute. So on Thursday, September the 13th, I sent a note to Roxy Turdoff, and I said, ASCA would like to reach out to finalize the 2023 Nationals that we discussed. Please advise if we can arrange to formalize a contract. Okay? All right. So then Calla sent that on to the board, and she just shared that back to us. And then Jean reached out and said, are there other available dates? And I'll be honest with you, that's as far as it went. And as I told the board when I stepped back up to do this, everybody that I've told, I mean everyone, not just in the Southeast, but when I've been out judging and they ask about, well, where's the site's going to be all these years? And I said, well, it's going to be in Redmond, Oregon. They're like, what? Redmond, Oregon? They're like, we can't come to that. They're like, how are we going to get there? I mean, literally. So no one that I have spoken to, literally no one, and even though the site is beautiful, has supported us going to that site. I'll just tell you, they have not. So I guess I am sure it depends upon the folks you talk to in the different locations who is supporting it and who is not. I personally had rather have a more middle of the country site. I don't really care for Georgia. I don't really care for California. But unfortunately, guys, there is no middle of the road site that we can find that can host this event. We have tried. If we found them, we could not afford them. That takes us somewhere to Oklahoma. Okay? There are very few sites that are willing to even discuss hosting a dog event for as many days as we're there. And their calendars are filled up usually 5 years in advance. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Rachel. Rick?
Yeah, my opinion is I really don't care where we host nationals. as long as it makes sense for ASCA. It has to financially make sense for ASCA, especially since we're taking it over. That's what's got to be our best interest. That's all I have.
Here's what I think. Rick just said it perfectly. I think that for me is whatever, makes sense for ASCA. Now, in order for us to make that decision, I think we need details about, what the Redmond side is going to charge us and all of that, so that we can make an educated decision. So I think that this board needs somebody who will seriously talk to them about all the details that, that are important here, such as, the price of the facilities, and look at the dates again, because those dates may be gone by now. I don't know. So we really need to get this done as soon as possible. So I'm asking for somebody to volunteer to do this. Do I have a volunteer?
I can do that. Liz, this is Denise. I got a
follow
vote.
up on my phone call if you'd like.
Okay, hold on, Jean?
Yeah, I was going to say I can follow up with my phone call from earlier. Ken, I searched my email box and I can't find anything with the prices on it. So if you have that, if you could send that, it would be great. I specifically called her last time about dates. But it'd be nice to know maybe what the price was a year ago. It may not be applicable to today, but it could be. We don't know.
Well, when I sent everything on to Calla, I didn't do anything. So if Calla could just look and see what she has.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, I know that I sent y'all a complete package. I did quite a bit of work on it, and it was pretty complete, I thought. So
I know you did. Yeah. And that may have been the year that I was off the board, so that's entirely possible, and that's why I don't have it. So
I think that
maybe Calla could find it.
Right.
Brought these issues up at that time, and we based our decision on the fact that everything was comparable, and we wanted to try something in the Pacific Northwest. And it's just, this was years ago, and we still haven't followed through on a motion we approved. We had made plans and we've ignored it. So I really would suggest that I don't think that Denise's heart would be in negotiating anything favorable for ASCA in the Pacific Northwest, because she sincerely likes to see it happen in Central Valley. So, I would much rather talk.
Yeah, I don't want anybody questioning anybody. Okay, so Jean was already in communication with them, and so Jean can go ahead and do this. We need the information.
I will call her tomorrow.
As complete as possible and as soon as possible, so that this board can make a rational decision about this. And time is ticking. And I agree with Ken. I share his frustration that we are not following through, and we need to. So please let's do that. So okay, so Jean is taking care of it, right?
Yes, ma'am. I will do that. And Calla, if you could look for that information for me, it'd be awesome.
I already sent it out. I think that's what
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think that does it for this discussion for now. So the next item is the Confirmation Award Program. So that was Denise that wanted to talk about this. Go ahead, Denise.
Well, when we were talking at our show that we just recently had, and several people had said that they would like to see a further program developed for best of breed competition. And we know that other venues have done that. and it's been positive in several different ways. That it's kept more specials in the ring. It's had people, finish a champion and then bring it back, because it's not just a best of breed ribbon that it gets. There are more things above just a champion title, and I think that it's time that we looked at that. But just the other day, I was looking through the confirmation committee, and that is actually one of the items that they have on their list of things that they're going to be working on, is developing like a grand champion type situation that we've seen in other venues. And that's beneficial to the exhibitors and the members. It keeps their champions in the public eye more, for a longer period of time. It brings more money to the clubs because of additional entries, brings more money into ASCA, and I think it just benefits everybody with more things to do with their dog. So I just wanted to bring it up, but it sounds like already that the confirmation committee is talking about it. That's all.
Okay. Did you have in mind like sending them a message, or from the board, or a directive, or what? If they're already working on it, I guess Judy will know, right?
I think that it'd be nice for the board to send a letter to them describing what we like, not as a directive necessarily if they're already talking about it, but
Okay.
just some ideas of how many levels you might be interested in, or the fact that, just they talk about different levels and how far it can go, and how many titles or whatever these dogs can get. But Judy, ask Judy if she knows about it.
Yeah. Judy, do you know anything about this?
I know it's on their list of topics that they are going to discuss. They're trying to get through the rule book first.
Okay.
But the other thing is, I really don't think this should come from the board. The fact that, Denise, you happen to be on the board and you can bring it here, but I think it just needs to go as a letter to the committee first. It's up to them to decide if it's something they want to work on first. If it comes from the board, it's going to look like a directive, whether it's actually said as such or not. But anything from the board seems to have a sense of urgency. So I can certainly let them know that it's being talked about. But in the meantime, Denise, why don't you get some of those people that you were talking to send letters to the committee? So it doesn't just look like one person is interested. Because again, right.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I didn't realize that they were talking about it at all until after I had asked it to be put on the agenda. And but no, you're completely right. Just if you just let them know that we'd seen it, that we're talking about it, we're in total support of them doing it. That's great.
Sure,
and then
I can do
also
that.
something else says if you're interested in it, send it to the confirmation committee.
Right. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah,
This is Kala.
go ahead, Kala.
So this is already on the strategic plan. It's been on here for several years, and we keep pushing back the deadline. Currently, it's set to the 2019 Nationals. Number 7 under Goal 1.
Right. Yeah, I know it has been there for a while.
So I was just trying to say, like, this
for
isn't
whatever
something
reason.
new. Like, this isn't something new, or this isn't a directive or anything. Like, this has
Right.
been around for a long time. So sending a reminder isn't like a directive. This was already on the strategic plan for several years.
Right. I would definitely, I guess Judy can contact the chair and go through to her, like, and let them know that we're discussing it, because it's on the it's been on the schedule for for quite a while, and there seems to be some support for it, and they probably, I mean, I know that they're going through the rule book, and it's the rule book is important, but I'm pretty sure that they could also work on this if they really put their minds to it. But I would not suggest a directive at this point. I mean, you all know that I don't like them anyway. So, but yeah, I think that if everybody, does anybody have any objection to Judy going to the chair and asking her to bring it up to the committee?
This is Ken.
Yes, Ken.
I think maybe you should go around. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That takes so long, but I think that would be the best way to get.
All right, I'll go around.
Suggestions.
No, that'll be good. Okay, Cindy.
Not so much just a suggestion to work on it, but request an update on all their things that they have listed there and where they are on them, and give us an idea of how long it's going to take them to try to get something from the committee on them, so that it's not we're not just picking one of the things that and giving it priority, enforcing it priority on them.
Okay, Denise, you got something else?
No, I think that's a good idea. I think that if Judy, I think it's best if Judy talks to them and says, you know, we were talking about different topics and this came up and it's been in the plan. Remind them that it's been in the plan and that we are interested in everything that they're doing and would like this included with it.
Okay, thank you. Jean?
I think what the way Cindy phrased it was probably the way I'd like to see it, in that perhaps all the liaisons need to say something to their chairs about things that are in the strategic plan and find out and get a progress report, as it were. The other thing is Calla had said that this is in the strategic plan and has been there for several, maybe not several, but at least 5 years. And I guess maybe I'm unclear how they get on the strategic plan. Was that something that the committee put there, or was that something that the board put there? Number 3, I think anybody who would like to see this happen, the people that you were speaking to at your show, Denise, they should all write letters to the chair, to the committee, to the board, saying, hey, this is something we would like to see. The other thing is like, for instance, when the farm trial was developed, it was developed outside the committee initially, and then was given to the committee, and then it was approved. And that would be another thing where if there's enough people outside the committee that would like to see this happen, perhaps they can write up some sort of proposal, and that way the committee only has to tweak it, and then they can present it. So those are just different thoughts that I have. Thank you.
Okay, Judy, I'm gonna skip you since you're the liaison. I'm gonna come back to you at the end, okay? Ken?
Okay. Okay. I agree that nothing should come to the committee. Nothing should be sent to the committee from the board about this. This has been presented to the confirmation committee for at least 6 years that I know of, and it has always been kind of set off to the side by the committee. So what we need to remember is that, and this is where boards get in trouble with the membership, is that directors' favorite programs, you cannot try to make things happen, and a liaison is not a member of the committee. A liaison does not discuss with the committee nor sit on the committee. A liaison only talks to the chair, and they talk so that they can communicate the committee's ideas to the board and vice versa, and that's it. It's okay, like Jean said, go ahead and tell all of the committees that hey, you know, you have put things in the strategic plan at our request. We have put things on the strategic plan. We would like you to look at that strategic plan and make sure that you are addressing those items that you and the board have put on the strategic plan. But I believe it is unethical for a board member to use their position to try and get something that they think is important done through a committee. You can, as a board member, assist the committee in working with the board in making what they want to present to the board happen, or if we all agree that something has to be done to work together. That's been the thing we've been struggling to try and do, is have this cooperative work relationship. And this idea of directors having projects that they want to see accomplished is counterproductive to trying to sell the membership and the community on the idea that they're all working together. If the liaison go to the confirmation committee and say, hey, the board about this, that would then automatically, because I have seen this automatically happen over the years, be interpreted as a board director, we have to drop everything and make this happen. This has got to be driven by the membership through the committee and suggested to the board. It's the only way this can successfully happen for the long-term success of ASCA.
Thanks, Ken. Linda?
Pass.
Rachel?
Boy, this is huge, because in that case, then we just need to drop the strategic plan. Forget about it. All of this stuff has been on the strategic plan now for about 3 years. Investigate possible Grand Supreme Champion titles to encourage participation with specials. Okay? Investigate possible Hall of Fame options for people in kennels who specialize in stock and performance dogs. Develop incentive programs beyond basic titles for other breeds. You know, all of this stuff has been on the strategic plan. So now it's been brought up by some members. I agree those members need to communicate this to ASCA. But I think they probably thought that's what they were doing when they spoke to a director. Okay? I honestly believe that. And I don't think any one of us, I do not believe that any director on this call has their own personal agenda that they're pushing forward. I don't believe that. I trust that each member of this board is doing what they think would benefit ASCA. And I think that's why it was on their strategic plan, because it will benefit ASCA and the membership to bring these things forward. So I guess I negate the idea that the board shouldn't bring things forward or discuss it. Well, what are we here for? Aren't we here to support and serve ASCA? And I don't see this as serving any particular board member. I see this as a way to keep affiliates more active by bringing more dogs out to their shows. I just think it's a good thing. And I really have no concern about, well, who brings it forward? Who does this? I don't believe that that's valid. I just think it needs to be mentioned by the liaison to the confirmation committee. It is on the strategic plan. It's been there for 3 or 4 years. That's it.
Thanks, Rachel. Rick?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for a good while. I've mentioned it, and I've even mentioned it to committee members. It seems like it goes on deaf ears. I remember when I was on the board before, we tasked the committees to come up with ideas to make their programs more profitable for ASCA. I'm all for, I don't care what they do, but make it good for ASCA. This is an opportunity to make the confirmation committee more profitable. It's a win-win for the confirmation program, and it's a win-win for ASCA. I don't see why we are not spending a little bit more time making our programs more profitable for ASCA. This is what's going to keep us afloat. I hear the story, well, they're working on the rule book. They're working on the rule book. They've been working on the rule book since I joined ASCA. There's time that the committees need to focus a little bit more in looking what's best for ASCA. Yes, the rules are important, but also keeping that program afloat and making money for ASCA, making more money for the affiliates, keeping our dogs out there. That's important too. And I don't see that ideal. They're not working on it. If they're working on it, it's surely not on the list. So it is in their strategic plan. It is something for them to consider working on in the future, but they're not working on it. And I think that this ideal ought to be, in my opinion, it ought to be moved up to the top of what they're working on. But that's all I got.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, Judy.
Okay. Let's look at it from a committee perspective. Committees work on input of ideas, yes, but they need it in writing. And I know, being on a committee, when we received several letters about a certain topic, it was made and marked much more important than one person who spoke to one committee member. Because truthfully, we have no idea if that person actually spoke to that committee member. And Denise, I am not saying that they didn't do that with you at all. I'm just telling you, in general, if you haven't been on a committee, then, you might not be as familiar with this. The other thing is, the strategic plan is not a directive. And we were told that over the last several years, that the strategic plan is a long-term goal. We have short-term goals, we have long-term goals. So the fact that it's on the plan is something that they're considering, that every committee considers what's on there. I will use the Agility Committee. Our 3 same strategic plan goals were on there for over 4 years. It wasn't that we didn't work on them. We did. We had motions for every single one. We could not and we still can't, or they still can't, because the computer system will not allow any of those things to be done. So the fact that it's on the plan doesn't mean either that it hasn't been worked on or nobody's paid attention. It is quite possible they do have it and they have it ready. For whatever reason, again, if they've not received written input, they may not think anyone else is all that interested. Yes, I can certainly drop them a line and say, hey, how is this going? The other thing is, it has only been within the last year, and as Rachel and I talked at the spring meeting, that all of a sudden, now committees are supposed to concentrate on bringing in income. That is different than providing a quality program. Hopefully the two intersect, they don't always, but the strategic plan is not written in phrasing that says, what are you going to do to bring income to ASCA? So that's something, again, Rachel and I are going to work on, but we need to do that. Most committees do not consider that as part of their duties in that respect. And some of the things that Rachel said about, other breeds, we struck that. We can't do that. That's not what ASCA is about, so it's been stricken. Or that's not what ASCA has allowed committees to do. So again, things need a little rewritten. I have no problem with contacting the committee. I do believe it's up to them when and how they work on various projects. And in the meantime, Rick, write your letter, put it in writing. Don't talk to somebody, just put it in writing. Just like if somebody really wants something to come for the board, they need to write a letter to CALA. They don't just say to us that, hey, I want this done. It needs to be in writing. There needs to be some kind of documentation. So let's get that done, and then we can get them working on this. I think it'd be a great idea.
Thanks, Judy. let me just interject and give my 2 cents here for whatever that's worth. I don't see, yes, income matters, of course. Money is always going to matter if we want to stay a viable organization. But I see this a program like this more working towards the morale of the membership of the confirmation people that go to our shows. I also see it about about growing the program. I also see it as giving more opportunities for our members and our competitors to keep going. I mean, the program has been successful for other, uh, you know, show entities. So obviously people like it. So I don't see it only as an income opportunity. I see it as a multifaceted, program that could be beneficial in many ways to ASCA. I do agree that I mean I don't want the board to be over the head, with the committees about doing things, but since it's being on the agenda for so long, or on the strategic plan for so long, and I know that people occasionally ask about it. As a matter of fact, when I judged in Tennessee this weekend, there were some people asking about it. So and I told them just that. Go ahead and write a letter to the committee. But there are people who want it, and I think that it's something that needs to be at least given a look. So I would suggest that we start just like Cindy and Jean, and as Judy has agreed to do, is to just go and kind of ask, okay, where are you on this? And then if we know of people who would like this, maybe encourage them to write letters to the committee and stuff. But I think that this will be a good thing. So that's what I got. Any further discussion? Anybody completely opposed to Judy just asking about it? Okay, so I think that's probably the way we should do that, because yeah, I don't think the board should be on their backs, but I think it's something that they really should take a look at. All right, so that was our last topic for tonight. It's been a long night. I want to thank all the directors for their cooperation and their discussion. As always, everybody, comes up with good ideas and good points. And I would like to thank all the members that will join in later on and listen to this message. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good meeting.